wild trade and one that, not to say that I didn't expect John Collins to be traded. Where he went, I'm not gonna lie to you, didn't have on my radar. But me and Steve are gonna break down the trade that's sending John Collins to the Utah Jazz. We're gonna get into all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
All right, Steve-O, John Collins is on his way to the Utah Jazz for Rudy Gay and a second-round pick. Now, this was a pure salary dump. And the reason why I think that this trade is important, because we've talked about before, they're going to be one of two teams. They're going to be teams that don't care about the second tax apron. They're going to look at this as their last chance to really have some salary, go considerably over the salary cap and into that tax. They're going to be some teams that are literally just trying to get under that second apron, and by that, they're going to trade everything they can. The Atlanta Hawks, who had been trying to move or rumored to move John Collins for about 3 seasons now, who at one point were rumored that they got offered 2 first-round picks from the Boston Celtics for John Collins, end up moving him for Rudy Gay and a second-round pick. What do you think about the deal, bro?
Hey, follow your first mind. Hey, that's really what it is, bro. Because like I was the first thing I was about to mention. Like, I'm not surprised because they've been talking about trading him for literally 3 years. So it's like, now, yeah, like you said, I didn't expect the situation. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna say I don't. The Jazz part doesn't surprise me because I'm seeing a lot of people and over there saying that they're interested in moving Larry to the 3 permanently, and so they're looking for a power forward. So I don't know. But dang, you froze again, bro. Free stream ain't your friend. But yeah, it's just I knew immediately, especially seeing what the details of the trade was. I already knew it was pretty much, yeah, let's go ahead and get them off our books. I think they believe have the highest in like what 25.3 million out of all NBA teams now. So
the Houston Rockets got the highest.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have like $54 million in cap space.
Well, everybody on their team 17, so
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
But yeah, I knew it was especially it puts you in a place where we really don't know what Atlanta's thinking because like there's so many directions you can go. You can go get rid of Trey Route, you can go get rid of Capella, you can go get rid of Murray, and you kind of resetting. To be honest, it's still a resetting type of deal anyway. You're doing some type of resetting. So yeah, I'm not too shocked on it. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how it's gonna work in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Utah, they also drafted Taylor Hendricks, who is another forward that I kind of thought was going to be the one that may push Larry to the 3, but they bring him in. Maybe Taylor Hendricks is going to play some small ball 5. We'll see what they do out in free agency. But he joins a team now that's projected starting 5, at least right now, is going to be Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Markkinen, John Collins, and Walker Kessler. Not going to lie to you, John Collins is not a perfect player, but I like the combination of him and Walker Kessler because Kessler is such a good defender and rim protector that John Collins' lack of like on-ball defense, it may be a nice 1-2 punch between.
And they could turn him to a solid team defender at that, because you just matching him with the Walker handles the weak side, and then even with he's not the greatest, like you said, on-ball defender, but with the athleticism that John Collins has, he can it helps in certain situations. So now I do got a question, like even when we first talked about this, you thought Walker was in the deal because anybody would have thought Walker would be in the deal, especially knowing what they could have got from Boston a year ago. So, do you just see this as it made money sense to put Rudy in it, or they actually wanted to, or it's just like maybe they got a mutual understanding with Rudy?
I mean, I can see how Rudy can fill a role for the Atlanta Hawks. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, Rudy, don't get me Rudy, he's weird, bro. Like, Rudy isn't great. He's not good, but he's not bad either, right? Like, I would say he's not a bad player, but still looking at him, it's not like, all right, like, what does Rudy Gay give you that Sadiq Bey doesn't? I guess is the question.
I was maybe they bringing in a vet that we pretty much people on that team like Trey and DeJounte Murray grew up with people when Rudy was in his prime doing his thing, so they actually watched him. So I think it's always it's some I ain't gonna say some turmoil, but where there's smoke, there's fire. There's been some little bit of smoke over there in that organization. So maybe I'm pretty sure ownership in the front office is really not trying to completely go away from the trade in DeJounte Murray because it wasn't a complete fail, I will say.
Yeah.
It's very early still. So I think they want to bring in a vet that could possibly tie it together and help things out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see how you can definitely fill that role for them. What this move for the Atlanta Hawks? Like we've already heard, like they may be looking to move Dejounte Murray. They may be like trying to convince him to stay. Maybe they just let his contract expire. When you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they got Kobe Buffkin in the draft.
Hmm.
They still got
Yeah, that was shocking.
things down there. But do you how do you think this is going to work out for the Atlanta Hawks for next season as of right now? Still got free agency still.
Well, like I said, I they'll be delusional to say they really putting a bid in to be a true contender because like you said, you shaking things up now. That's like a nice piece of your core that you did go to the Eastern Conference Finals with. So you are shaking things up unless you're coming in with this move looking to bring in a key veteran that's up there with the type of outcome you got out of John somewhat. So
Yeah.
it really just depends on the next move they make. So I feel like their next move is the move we are waiting for because that's gonna tell us what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do in free agency, any other trades, what they get back for DeJounte. But I tell you what, this is really we're seeing players move that literally a year or two ago, their teams turned down high level picks, and now they're getting nothing back. Like you look at what the Wizards got back for Bradley Beal. Had they traded Bradley Beal at the trade deadline last season, they would have got triple back what they got. You
So
look at go ahead.
so I was about to say, so does this like for teams like the Suns that it makes them think a little bit harder about the Aiden situation? Because it's a couple examples like this when they recently had a good offer and now things change.
Yeah, I mean the CBA, the whole dynamic of
Yeah.
the future of the NBA. So yeah, a lot of those teams that hesitated to make moves for pieces, they may now look to move them because once that second tax apron becomes penalizing, keep in mind you can't aggregate salaries anymore. So right now, I think that Utah did that in this trade. They took back a little bit more salary than what they sent out for a team that's in that luxury tax this season and going into next season, they can't do that. This is going to be their last season to do that. So I do think we're going to get a lot of teams that are just like, hey, they're offering us three future seconds, but we get out of the salary. Because keep in mind, like
Hmm.
the luxury tax is so penalizing that for like a $20 million contract, you end up paying almost $45 million in total for that because of the luxury tax. So
And everybody get a $20 million contract now,
yeah,
and that's the
that's true.
thing.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, you can't just this CBA is making so like you, bro. You really have to be smart and real strategic of how you built these teams because one player can penalize you for the next 2 years,
yeah,
just like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and as far as like with the Atlanta Hawks, shout out to I think it was who said it, but as far as moving, it was C Dub and Bobby moving Clint Capella. Do you think that Clint Capella could be the next one being moved?
I mean, they definitely what's the guy's name? He played with Lonzo. They had that center down there, so they do have like insurance in case they do that. And but I, like I said, the next move is gonna tell me like if they decide to move like Murray, he ain't going nowhere. I feel like that pick and roll thread with Trey was just that's one of their bread and butters when Trey's not
Mhm.
work when nothing's working for Trey. So if Trey is still here, I feel like Capella gonna be here.
Yeah, yeah, and they get hella savings. John Collins' contract heading into next year, $25 million. Rudy Gay's contract for next season, $6.7 million.
Oh, come on.
Like they save considerable money. But what this does do is this does eliminate another team that had cap space in free agency. This basically ate up most of the Utah Jazz's cap space, and because of that, if for other teams that are restricted free agents like us with Kobe White or even like Nikola Vucevic, who's an unrestricted free agent, this took another potential destination off the board.
Yeah, but like I said, it's you gonna be penalized now. So, and I wouldn't say that wouldn't be the worst player to trade for. That's gonna mess up my what I have. So, yeah, like I said, you really just gotta think and think hard before you can't just be sitting out people not realize what you're doing Cause like I ain't gonna lie, this CBA is about to tell people how smart these GMs really are.
That's a fact, bro. Like the GMs that have coast by just by the fact that their owner didn't care about paying the luxury tax, it's about to change a lot. Now you have to be smart, and I also think we're gonna see drafting a lot more prioritized as far as making the right pick, maybe not being as risky. And I also think that we could see an influx of even more high level European talent because you can bring over a guy from Europe who may be one of the best players in Europe for $8 million, whereas a similar player who's been in the NBA you paying 12, 15 for. So
Facts. Hey, and they are already coming. That's the one thing. Yeah, like I'm just ready to do that. Probably the first year, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you ain't no real business, man. You didn't understand the NBA business because
yeah,
you just messed up your like. I can say it now. The front office for the Minnesota,
Timberwolves.
yeah,
Them and the Phoenix Suns. That trade for Bradley Beal
bro.
literally is like you are only going to be adding players at the veteran minimum for the next 3 years, bro.
And
That's
that's
it.
and that's hey bro, I got into a whole argument with somebody about that because they were sitting there like, bro, they got rid of CP3. I'm like, bro, do you not understand that if you don't win, you did this for nothing?
Yeah,
Like you could possibly leave moves like this makes your superstar leave.
yeah, yeah.
You think Devin Booker going if y'all he already done went through the hell the first few years. Now he done got a piece of winning. It's more consistent, and then you done took all his main contributors away, which was one of the reasons why we said this trade was stupid because now you can't get no more contributors.
Yeah.
So hey, now you can't get nobody for the next 5 years.
And for a team that really ran out of gas because of no depth. I mean, don't get me wrong. Adam Bradley Beal is a hell of a player, but you have
Yes.
nothing coming off the bench.
And that's gonna be a headache trying to make it fit. That's what there's two headaches. It's a headache trying to figure out how they're gonna make that work offensively and defensively, and it's a headache with the money. So
Their best
yeah,
bet is
that's top two.
not even worry about defense. Don't even worry about defense.
Bro.
Just let it go. I see a couple of people asking that the Bulls should try to get involved for Bogdan. And here's what I'll say: we may have the next Bogdan in us signing Erlat Bittenham.
Yeah.
So
That's
Bitten.
one thing
So
I see. That's one thing I was watching though. I was like, "Ooh, that little look like Bogdan." And yeah, I know how much I like Bogdan, but
exactly.
Bogdan's getting a nice little penny over there to Atlanta. To be honest.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. All things even. If the Atlanta Hawks called and was like DeMar for Bogdan right now, I'll be like, all right, bet I'll drop him off. Don't even worry about it. No questions asked.
Give
Let
me
me
him
hurry
and
up
Hunter.
before y'all. Exactly.
Let me get here, Hunter.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry. What else? Do you want another pick? We'll give you a couple of seconds too. You sure you don't? Okay, cool. Don't worry about it. Jamal asked another question. Let's see what Jamal got. Yo, hey Stevo, why do they make this trade when the salaries aren't close to matching? Colin's salary is 350% of Rudy's. What are the capology rules of salary dumps? Well, Utah Jazz had cap space, so as long as you have the cap space, you can. The Utah Jazz could have just took it for a second round. They didn't have to match salaries because they have so much cap space. I believe the Utah Jazz had what was it, about $30 million in cap
30,
space?
like a little bit over 30.
Yeah, so
maybe.
you got to keep in mind. So John Collins' contract is $25 million, meaning they could absorb his whole contract with nothing. So that's why that trade was able to go down. Jamal, great question though. Great question. I always forget, and I think that's one thing I need to do a better job at when we do these emergency live streams, kind of explaining the ins and outs because not everyone knows how the cap works in the NBA. And the NBA has one of the more weird cap structures of any professional.
Yeah, I was podcasting my cousin. He was like, "Bro, the one thing why I don't get into in the NBA is I don't understand the money. I don't understand the cap at all. Like football is simple. Like like when it comes to basketball, you be in this mud like." So why they can't do that? What you mean they can't do that? Like you be like, bro, he can't do that. They just did that because all the cap gone. What you mean the cap gone?
Yeah, it's just like when people were like, well, let Vooch walk and go sign such and such for what you would pay him. Unfortunately, that's not how it works in the NBA. Like we can only re-sign Vooch because we got his bird right. And then don't say bird rights to somebody. They look at you like you stupid, like, huh?
Bird rights. That's a long story.
Yeah, it's a long story.
Especially with the Europeans, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said, anyone know
that John Collins? That don't surprise me. He looks like a Utah dude.
Hold the hell on. So you from Utah and decided to go to Wake Forest? That don't make sense. That's different.
Mm.
Hmm.
We'll see. We'll see. Grades on the trade, though. How do you feel about like how you grading this trade? For the Atlanta Hawks, we already understand it was a salary dump for them.
C plus. Yeah, C plus. It could turn into a B.
That's fair. That's fair. See what they do with the added flexibility, if anything. For the Hawks, I'm gonna give the Hawks. I'll give them a C. I think the Hawks did pretty good in what their goals were. Just, I mean, in hindsight, of course, that nobody knew the CBA was going to become that restrictive. Like, I'm sure they would have done one of those trades last season.
He said
But
he's a military brat. That makes sense.
oh well, then yeah, as a military brat myself, that's completely different. Yeah.
Oh, but yo had to been all over the damn world. That's why.
Yeah, all over the damn place. Grade for the Jazz. Then, what you giving the Jazz on this trade?
I think they both get C's. I think they both get C plus that can turn into B's. Like this move don't shake anything in that organization to me, but he's not a terrible player. Like if they make it fit, it could possibly turn into something worthwhile. But I'm gonna say a C plus for both.
Okay. Yeah. I like the trade for the Jazz. Like I like the Jazz, and I said this before I even knew this trade went down. The Jazz have had one of the better on the fly rebuilds I've ever seen.
Quiet.
I've ever seen.
It was very quiet.
They traded their 2 stars away. They got back some really good talent when you look at Walker Kessler, Larry Markkinen. If they end up holding on to him, those are 2 guys that could be in your front court for the next 5-6 years. Colin Sexton they got back as well, who, yes, he's not a perfect player. He's coming back from injury, but you could do a lot worse than getting a 24-year-old dog. So
hey, I'll take him. He fit the city.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna say this one last time, y'all. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna stand on this. If you a Bulls fan, you shouldn't want Derek here. Stop saying Derek should come here.
Man,
why do you want him here?
That Derek is just overblown, bro.
Like he does, bro. All we gonna do is yay. That's all we gonna get out of it. That's really all we're gonna get out of it.
Well, there's gonna be if Derek were to come here, there'll probably be 3 or 4 games over the season where Derek goes and scores 16 on 10 shots, and we're all excited because it's Derrick Rose in a Bulls jersey, but it doesn't really offer a lot, bro. Come on.
We keep saying the same thing. What we need, a point guard. Yes, he's a point guard. Does he defend the greatest? No.
Yeah.
Does he facilitate the greatest? At this point in his career, no. Because he's not the threat he used to be. He was all let's get one. I love Derek, but yeah, he could facilitate it to a certain degree, but he wasn't no Zoe
at all, not even remotely close to. Somebody asked, this will be the last question before we go. Can the Atlanta Hawks throw a bag at Io now that with their cap space? Well, here's the thing: they don't have cap space. That's again one of the weird things. Yeah, so going in before this trade, the Atlanta Hawks were almost $40 million over the salary cap. So now that they trade John Collins and they get $9 million back, they are $15 million still over the salary cap, meaning all they have is their mid-level exception to offer. So yeah,
they can't offer nothing. That's pretty much gonna be their team.
Yeah.
In other words.
Yeah, they'll probably go, if they're trying to contend, they may go out and get a veteran, but they're not going to be big time spenders in free agent. Steve, I did want to ask you this, and then we'll go. Jordan Clarkson, do you think that this trade means that the Jazz are more likely to keep him? Do you think they're going to actually try to make let this team win as many as possible, or do you think they may let him go?
Yeah, he been the biggest mystery to me. Like, it's really because this organization is just low key and they not really giving that much, so you don't really know their true feelings. So I'm kind of split on it. I feel like they want him, but I feel like in the back of my mind, they don't really want to. They don't think he's worth as much as they're gonna give him, but they still want him there.
Yeah.
So if that answers your question,
all right. Yeah. I mean, I think he's likely to stay. I think they're gonna be willing to pay him. I think it may be a shorter deal, maybe even only 2 years.
That'd be smart.
Option.
Yeah.
There's something like that. But hey man, that is it. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to NBA Central, man. As we're gonna keep breaking this down. I had to ask Stevo would have had this video out earlier. I asked him to wait on me. I was doing the Bleacher Report stream. Otherwise, basically, when news breaks, we break. An episode's coming shortly thereafter. So you guys make sure you hit that subscribe button to NBA Central. Thank you to everybody who came over from Chicago Bulls Central as well For Stevo, I'm Haize. This is NBA Central. Make sure you guys follow us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, 773-270-2799, which I probably need to make its own voicemail for NBA Central now that we popping.
Yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah, it's about that time. So look out for that coming probably by the end of the week. But, man, that's it for us. We about here. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.